Grinders, it's Rocky Thunder here. I'm the inaugural loser of Ducky's Tournament of Shame. Part of the reason I joined his tournament was I really enjoy reading his weekly blogs and his articles. I like his sense of humor and his satirical takes on the world of fantasy sports. The other reason I joined was I thought it'd be a fun and unique way to play for a little bit more than money, get some interaction with some of the other players out there, and also maybe get to some perspective on some of the lineups that some of these guys are playing over at DraftKings. I myself had never played at DraftKings before this year, and I know that Ducky runs with some of the better players in the world of DFS, and so I've been able to look at some of their lineups and also see some of my own flaws in the game. Anyway, part of my shaming was to go see the movie The Other Woman by myself, and I'm not sure what all the other females in the theater were thinking when I walked in by myself with my big bowl of popcorn. There was one other male that was there watching the movie. I'm not sure if he lost a bet or if he was just there trying to make his wife happy, but I'm sure the women around me either thought one of two things: either sympathetic for this guy sitting there with his bowl of popcorn by himself, or what the heck is this creepy old man doing here watching this female movie. The premise of the movie is there's three females. Kate, who's played by Leslie Mann, Carly, who's played by Cameron Diaz, and then Amber, who's played by Kate Upton. Mark is married to Kate, and he has an affair with Carly at the very beginning of the movie. And Kate is kind of neurotic. She's a little crazy. She's out of control, and I'm sure that that was part of the reason that Mark was seeking some avenues of escape with Carly, who's Cameron Diaz. The first problem in their little relationship there was Mark had a call to go home to see his wife, and had already scheduled a date with Cameron Diaz, so he made up a story that his toilet had overflowed and the housekeeper had left. And so he went home for the weekend. Cameron Diaz decides to drive up there and surprise him. She pulls out her little plumber's outfit, walks up to the front door, rings the doorbell, and Mark's nowhere to be found, and Mark's wife shows up. And at that point, Cameron Diaz realizes that he's married and something weird's going on here. So she proceeds to leave. The next day, Kate shows up at her place and pretty much starts stalking her, trying to figure out why she's having an affair with her husband, and how long it's been going on, and this sort of thing. A little bit later into the movie, they realize that not only is Mark cheating on both of them, but he has a third mistress who is Kate Upton. And they end up confronting Kate Upton in kind of a weird way. They're all running on the beach in bathing suits, and the two females are tackling one another as Kate Upton's kind of bouncing around. And she comes over, and they realize that he's basically cheating on the three of them. So the rest of the movie entails the little hijinks that are going along with him to try to get back at Mark. The first thing they do is they basically try to set him up. None of the females will sleep with him. They have a cheat chore calendar, and each day they're doing some sophomoric hijinks to try to just make his life a living hell. One of the things they did was they stuck his toothbrush in the toilet. They turned around and put some hair remover in his shampoo bottle. And what was the other thing they were doing? They gave him estrogen. They gave him estrogen in his morning smoothie, and he started to develop puffy nipples, which was kind of a little funny little take in the movie. Anyway, the movie was okay. I mean, it was your typical love romantic comedy. There are some cameo appearances by Nicki Minaj as the secretary for Cameron Diaz, who's a high-priced lawyer, and Don Johnson, who's actually Cameron Diaz's father in the movie. As the movie goes along, they find out that Mark's been embezzling money from his company and setting up these shell companies, but he's actually setting it up in Kate's name. She's kind of oblivious to what's going on. She keeps signing her name to everything. They end up finding out that he has all this money down in the Bahamas. He's tucked it away down there, and they follow him down to the Bahamas, 3 females, and they find out he's got a 4th female that he's messing around with. And so during that time, they do all this research, and they're able to determine that Kate, Mark's wife, is actually the CEO, as all the checks have been written in her name, and she's done all the signatures on there. Mark did that in case that he got caught, that she would be the one to go to jail for that. So anyway, they go in, they end up pulling out all of his money, and at the end of the movie, there's a big confrontation. Cameron Diaz agrees to meet with him. He comes into the boardroom, and all 3 females are there, and basically he knows that the cat is out of the bag. And at that point, his wife decides she's going to divorce him, and he proceeds to tell her, you can't do that, and you're going to go to jail. And they've actually already taken all the money out of the shell account. They've paid restitution back from his shareholders and his partner that Mark's stolen the money from. And anyway, Mark ends up getting divorced. He gets fired from his job, and his entire life is basically thrown up in the air. Kate, his wife, ends up she's the one who has all these little great ideas that she gives him that he's been taking to his boss. She ends up becoming the CEO with his ex-boss and becoming successful. Cameron Diaz ends up getting married to Kate's brother, who she kind of had a flirtatious little fling with throughout the movie. And Amber, Kate Upton, actually ends up getting married to Don Johnson, and they go off into the sunset. So, wasn't the best time, the best movie part of my life, but it wasn't really bad. I think Mark pretty much summed it up. His signature line when he was confronted was, they asked him how many affairs did he actually have, and he basically said, well, let's put it this way, I get more ass than a toilet seat. So if I had to give it a rating, I would say it's not a movie that you want to see alone. It's definitely would be a fun movie to go see with maybe your wife, or, to be honest, to be extremely drunk. So anyway, again, this is Rocky Thunder, and I have been shamed.